We will now look at how to enter data on the grain oilseed, forage, pasture, and grazing worksheets on the Land tab. These worksheets capture all farming operations associated with a specific land use. Data entry in these worksheets will assist in enterprise accruals and calculation of production performance measures. Note the color scheme of the Land Use tab on the AgriProfit's Business Analysis program. The grain oilseed and forage worksheets capture the same information outlined in the columns. The distinction is the grain oilseed worksheet is only for harvested grains, oilseeds, and non-forage crops, while the forage worksheet includes all crops baled or silage plus the land rented for straw. If you planted barley expecting grain but harvested it as a forage, report it on the forage sheet. The crop's end use determines on which worksheet it should be entered. Start by gathering the crops that were harvested or produced for feed in the reported production year. If you have crop insurance, the statement of coverage and premiums outlines all insured crops and forages. In some cases, not all crops have been insured. Cropping information could come from the internal crop production records or a report from your agronomist. To support the crop production records, the farm accounting records will include the cash sales and cash expenses that can be assigned to each crop. Let's review the variable definitions and instructions for the grain oilseed and forage worksheets. In the irrigated dryland cell, if you choose irrigated land, the amount of water applied can be either the number of inches per acre or pump hours. In the tenure cell, if crop share is selected, provide both the landlord's share as a percentage and the landlord's contribution as dollars per acre for inputs agreed upon. The expected market price is an estimate of the market value at the farm gate. Seed cost must reflect purchase seed price and/or the value of the homegrown seed used, including the cost of any treatments, cleaning, and inoculants. But this does not include technology use agreement fees that are reported in chemicals. Fertilizer costs include all fertilizers purchased, including manure, in the current year, as well as any inventory. If you applied manure from your own cattle, the cost can be calculated based on the average cost per pound of nitrogen applied in your area. Crop insurance premiums need to be segmented by crops. Premiums vary for different crops based on the levels chosen, 50 to 80%. It is unlikely that all crop acres will have the same insurance premium. Premiums will be similar for a crop type, unless a hail rider is taken on a specific field. Additional private hail insurance can be taken and will raise premiums. Producers may also opt for alternative crop insurance programs, such as Global Ag Risk Solutions. Summer fallow fields is land purposely kept out of production during a growing season. When reporting summer fallow fields, pay attention to the number of cultivation or spraying passes and to the chemical costs. On the forage worksheet, if you had multiple cuts on a forage field, record the second and any further cuts as a separate line on the forage worksheet. For example, if there are 2 cuts on the alfalfa hay field, fill in the first row providing the type of crop, alfalfa hay, and enter 1 in the number of cuts column. In the next row, go directly to the number of cuts column and mark 2 to denote a second cut. The pasture worksheet includes all fields used primarily for grazing, including swath grazing or standing crops. The same information sources utilized in the grain oilseed worksheet and forage worksheet can be used for the pasture worksheet. Here, a description of the farm's grazing systems is captured. The grazing worksheet lists land for which you are reporting grazing information. As noted by the purple cells, this worksheet automatically brings forward the row numbers from the pasture worksheet for which you are reporting grazing information. Similarly, list the row numbers from the grain oilseed or forage worksheets for any fields that are grazed after the primary crop is removed. For example, if on a forage worksheet there is an alfalfa hay field under row F4 that is also used for grazing, type in F4 in the field pasture number column, and your alfalfa hay field related information will automatically be displayed in the crop, farmer description, and total acres columns. All fields used for grazing, except from the pasture worksheet, require aftermath expected market price to be supplied on an animal unit or acre basis. Let's review the variable definitions and instructions for the grazing worksheet. Grazing days ensure you record grazing days for all the cattle in the grazing season. The date in and the date out must be provided. If you know the total number of days for each field, that can be entered in the column provided, but it is optional. Total number of days is calculated based on these dates. Average weights. For any cows or cow-calf pairs, replacement heifers, bulls or grass yearlings, the average weights in pounds per head must be entered. This is collected to adjust the amount of grass the animal can eat depending on the weight of the animals. Pen number grassers. This is a drop-down list feature which will display all existing pens of grassers that you entered on the pen information worksheet. This ends this module. Remember to save your data frequently as you move through the worksheets. If you have more questions, refer to the AgriProfit's Help tab, AgriProfit's Data Entry Help Manual, or ask AgriProfit staff for help.